Hello and welcome to round 2 of the Parenting Roundabout podcast. I'm Terri Morrow and I'm here with Catherine Haleko. Say hi, Catherine.
Hi, Terri.
This week we watched another episode of The West Wing Season 5 and we went out to the farm again to visit with the makers of Making It. But first we caught up with another episode of So You Think You Can Dance. On this episode of So You Think You Can Dance, the top 10 performed again before having their hearts crushed. 2 of them anyway. 4 of them a little bit. By Nigel and company. So what did you think of this episode of So You Think You Can Dance? Was it ruined for you by the fact that the shadow of doom was hanging over everybody the entire time?
Yeah, I would say it kind of was. I don't like it when they do it this way, which happens all the time. Just get rid of them at the beginning of the episode instead of making them learn 2 dances, do 2 dances, get critiqued, everything, and then, actually, you're going home,
Yeah, the way I consoled myself with it is that they got 2 more dances of national exposure.
That's true.
So that's good for them. They get a little extra. I imagine if given the choice, they would rather have more TV time than less.
Right, and
even though it must be a weird way to be learning stuff, knowing that, at least you get to do it. It's not like you get eliminated and then don't.
True.
So that would be worse. And also they soften the blow by saying, everybody's going on tour.
Yeah, that's true. And they did get to sort of show, get the 2 that went home, really didn't get good comments last week. And this week they got better ones. So...
Yeah, sort of.
A little bit.
Backhandedly better ones, I think.
Yeah.
That didn't stink as much as last week. Good for you, kids. Don't unpack your suitcases just yet.
So it was Evan the tap dancer and his partner Chelsea who were eliminated, and that was too bad because they just were kind of doomed from the beginning.
They really were. And is Nigel yelling at her now for being the sacrificial tap dance lamb?
I didn't understand.
Seriously? They said, hey, any of you kids tap dance? And she probably said, well, I've done some. Great, we can do tap. And now they're saying, why would you even say you could tap when clearly you can't tap? That was awful.
Yeah.
We know how shows work now, Nigel. Don't think that she came in and said, yo, tap and powerhouse here, could you give me some tap? You needed somebody to do it, and she did it, and she was game, and she had a smile on her face, and she did her best. Don't kick her on the way out.
She should be rewarded for that.
Come on, old man. That was uncalled for.
I agree because I liked her.
I did too. She had a really good attitude, and she kept the death stare mostly under control when I would just have unleashed that puppy. You know what? Give them the full force. They deserved it.
Maybe she'll do it on social media. Somehow I doubt it.
Yeah.
But
she kept the smile going there. It was pretty much, I think when it got down to that final 4, they had to know.
Yeah, it was clear at that time.
It seemed pretty inevitable. And while I would like to have seen Evan do more tap dancing, and I'm sure he's really good, and I think that he just they both kind of got the short end of the stick. At the same time, I am not sorry that I will not have to see him do any more serious dances, because he just can't. You know what? It's not his thing. And he just looks so uncomfortable with the writhing contemporaries and the serious things. Just go off and smile and tap dance, man. You're going to be on the tour now. You can do your thing. Everybody will applaud. I just feel bad about making the tap dancers be serious.
Yes. Well, and Mary told them they can both be on Broadway, so there you go.
Yes. Now, they had a Broadway number in this episode. Why couldn't they have given it to them? That seems like a cheap shot.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect. He could have done a little bit of tap. They would have been adorable. Instead, they have to do, stuff that doesn't suit them.
Right.
Just because the script says, make them look bad on their last day. I feel like that was a setup all the way around. But I had to laugh. Then when they get down to the last 4, they give her, Chelsea, really harsh criticism. They say to Magda, we have no idea why you're here. You're terrific. You're wonderful. We really loved your numbers. And then they tell Cole, you've had all this trouble connecting with your partner. I don't know, man. And I'm like, they were all over them last week. They were the greatest thing since sliced bread. Where did this come from? When has he had trouble connecting with her? Have they ever mentioned that before? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't.
If I were him, I would just be, he needs to unpack a death stare also. That was just ridiculous. But enough of the judges, as
Kat has to say.
10'2" Kat Deely likes to say. Why does, you go girl, own your height and your style, but 5-inch heels, really? Those shoes looked ridiculous.
She's a very tall person.
She's a very tall person in flats. Mm-hmm. She really does not need the stilettos. And she looked like a giraffe, but to me, uncharitably, as a short girl, I get to make fun of the tall girl, okay? All right. So, on to the dances. What did you think? Were there any you particularly liked or did not?
Well, I did like the jive that Sharna choreographed, so that was exciting to see her.
Yeah.
That was fun.
They were dissing it, and I did not get it, because I thought it was...
Yeah, I liked it.
I thought Slavik was amazing in that. I just loved watching him, and then they're like, well, you weren't pointing your toes, and your shoulders were weird. Your shoes were uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I thought he was terrific. I thought he was way better than her.
I thought he was great, and yeah, I spent the whole time going, this is a... this is a hip hop dancer. Like,
where did this come from?
Pulling this off?
Yeah,
untrained everything. So I thought he was great, and that dance was fun to watch. I always like the jive when they do it on, Dancing with the Stars too. So, I enjoyed that one. That crazy African jazz thing that they had Jensen and JJ do. Yeah. Like, it was wild and it was pretty weird, but some of the stuff they were doing, you just had to stop and be amazed,
Yes, it was. I get uncomfortable with that and the Bollywood dances in terms of, like...
cultural appropriation.
Isn't that a thing we're concerned about?
Yeah. Yep, that is a thing, and I get that. I feel that way too a lot of the time. But it's like, also...
let's have the blonde Mormon girl do African dances.
And put, like, a black weave into her hair.
Yes,
so she had a blonde...
Yes.
She had a braid that was blonde and black. And then they gave JJ extra hair also.
Yeah. It's like, well... they didn't choose to do it, so I guess that's on the show, but I don't know why we have to,
I would say at least they have people from those cultures choreographing it, right?
I guess. It just still seems... I remember the last season we watched, Gabby did a Bollywood number, and I remember there being some discomfort on that, too. Whether on the show or in the forums, I'm not sure. But I guess they keep doing it, so okay. But...
and it is fun to watch Bollywood.
It was, yeah. I guess I did not care for their dance, though. I thought it was boring.
Oh, okay.
And endless. But you liked it, their Bollywood?
I did. I agree it was long, but I did like it because I just like that style, and I find it fun to watch. And I thought they pulled it off.
Okay. All right.
But it did go on.
I didn't care for it.
It was not your thing.
But I thought that the distribution, you wonder about the distribution of dances and who chooses who gets what style. And, I already mentioned that it would have been nice for Chelsea and Evan to get the Broadway, because that would have really, I guess it would have played for their strengths, but still. And I thought that Cole and Hana Lee got 2 weird dances. They got step and disco. They couldn't have thrown them a contemporary for one of them, or a jazz or something normal, because somebody else got normal ones.
Well, didn't they say at the beginning of the show that they were giving everybody things that weren't either of their style?
I guess, although disco is nominally ballroom, wouldn't it be?
Well,
which is Cole's style.
Similar, maybe. Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean, he's twirling her around, and it looked kind of ballroomish. Right. Ridiculous and stupid, and boy, you could tell that she was born so far after anybody was talking about disco that she had basically no idea what they were talking about. Cole at least had disco music playing. He must have had a disco dancing parent yes. But she looked completely at sea. I don't know. That seemed sort of stacked. I enjoy that we had overalls on this, as we will soon be talking about overalls on Making It. I give that dance that Evan and Chelsea did extra points for the overalls. She was so cute in those overalls. Of course, I don't entirely approve of like a crop top under overalls, so you see a lot of skin on the side. But you know what? It's a dancing show. But still, those are some cute overalls.
Yes, that was cute.
A recurring theme of this podcast will be overall discussion. Yeah, so that was some dancing that happened.
So who are you voting for?
I split my votes between Jensen and Slavic. I am on a journey with Slavic here, because when he made it into the top 10, I thought, what? He doesn't seem to have very much game. And then last week he was okay, but this week I loved watching him. I mean, he was great in the jive, but even in the little, the Broadway thing that they did? I don't know if he has the technique they're looking for, but I just loved watching him move. He was just moving so beautifully. And I thought, he can dance. Wow, look at him go.
So you think you can dance? Way to go.
So you think you can dance? I think he can dance. You know what? So at least for this week, I'm putting my votes down on him, because he really surprised me, and I couldn't take my eyes off of him in that jive. I thought he was doing terrific, and I've since gone on the forums and people going, "That's a terrible jive. They were awful." But you know what? I just know what I enjoy looking at. I enjoy looking at that. Exactly. And I felt like, yelling at my TV, "You guys go!" I thought Sharna did a great job.
Yeah, and it was fun to see her there.
So, yeah. So, I wonder who the next two victims will be, but we don't have to worry about that till next week.
Right. And they put off for a week the need to switch up the teams, because they
Isn't that convenient?
Eliminated the whole team.
Yeah, we were wondering last week if the teams were keeping up. I guess the teams are keeping up, which means that how do they form those teams? Because you're sort of tied to the fate of the other person in a way that's possibly not fair. And I want to hear that they draw these things out of a bag of paper slips. Right. I want to know that it's completely random, and I don't think it is. And
well, it can't be, because they have to make sure that they don't give people their own.
Yeah,
like this. At least this past week, or this one we just watched, they deliberately said that they were keeping them from doing their own styles. So
that is true, but then
the week before they picked each person in the pair.
Yes, so. That's true. That's true, that they could not have two people with the same style, so they must have had to work it out that way. But
I have in the past
unfortunate for some people.
Actually, on stage, pull stuff out of a hat.
Yes, so that would be maybe another time. I am giving you the stink eye, powers that be. I am not sure that this is a fair fight. So moving on, this week's episode of The West Wing was sort of the contemporary dance version of The West Wing. Lots of interesting images, never really kind of tied together, but it seemed like it was really important. And yet in the end you kind of go, was that really necessary? That looked like that cost a lot of money. I don't know that they got the money for it, but it left me feeling about as confused and really not into it as so many So You Think You Can Dance contemporaries. What did you think of the Stormy Present?
I actually kind of liked it.
Did you?
I liked seeing the relationship between Bartlett and the previous presidents, including Lassiter, the one who died, and how, well, first of all, it was just funny that, like, John Goodman's character, Walken, got to be there. like he was president for, what, a week or two or something?
He's on the list with an asterisk, you know?
Yeah, he gets to fly, and they get to go pick him up wherever he is, and put him on Air Force One and take him to this funeral, and just kind of the way Bartlett was talking about the former guy, and how even though they were so ideologically different, he still felt like Lassiter's input was valuable, even though he didn't really realize it until, of course, it was too late. As
is so often the way. Now that I no longer have to deal with you, golly, you were not so bad. Yeah, I mean...
And Charlie and Toby, like Toby getting just hammered on Air Force One because he's so annoyed that he has to go do this, and Charlie...
Yeah, I like the idea of it on paper and in description better than I liked it in the actual thing. I don't know. Right. It just, something about it left me cold, I guess. I just didn't dig it. But I had the feeling on the podcast that they felt sort of the same way, or at least I guess Josh did. But I don't know. It was okay.
Well, it was sort of telling that their interview with Bellamy Young was really not about the episode at all.
That seems to happen when they have scandal people on.
Yeah.
But
just a lot of chit chat.
Yes, this episode had so many subplots. When I saw that she was the guest, I'm like, who was she? Was she on the plane? She couldn't have been the wife. She's too young to have been the ex-president's wife. Who could she be? I completely forgot that whole subplot about the Bill of Rights. The whole
entire Bill of Rights thing.
You know, and the only subplot I remember is the one with CJ, and that's because it was Stephen Tobolowsky. Hey, look at you there in your Hawaiian shirt and whatever. That was, as they mentioned on the podcast, an absolute big block of cheese day plot. It's like they say, oh gosh, we got like 5 minutes to fill. Do we have anything? Well, we have this thing that got cut from a big block of cheese day episode. Great, great, put it in.
Throw that in.
Yeah, that'll fill the time.
And call up Stephen Tobolowsky.
Exactly.
He's perfect.
We need somebody odd, and that other guy isn't available. Yeah.
Yes, it was fun to see him. I mean, the guest stars in this thing were...
That's what I mean. It was sort of like less than the sum of its parts. I felt like they could have done something more fun with the whole ex-president thing than it actually worked out to be. It seemed kind of pontificate-y.
More fun with someone's funeral.
Well, maybe not a funeral then. I don't know. But,
yeah. Oh, so like... some other plot involving
I guess, yeah. It was kind of not that fun, I thought. But, I mean, not that it needs to be, but it was clearly they had, messages with a capital M that they wished to impart. And so they used this vehicle in which to impart them. And I think that episodes like that start with the message and then plaster the characters on top of them tend to be less effective than ones that start with the characters and then the message comes out of that. So this seemed like a, what's the thing where people just kind of step forward and declaim?
Yeah. But I don't mean.
Tableau or a...
Yeah. And there was no Joshua Malina.
That was clearly the missing piece. I was trying to remember if he was in it until he said he wasn't. I thought he might have been in the opening Lincoln thing where they were all worried that they were going to have to spend time getting pontificated at by the president. Instead, he had to go be pontificated at by other presidents. So, yeah, that's okay. It's just so...
It went by fast for me. It was one of those where I was like, oh, it's over, which doesn't happen all the time.
No.
So.
And yet, when I think of it, that, like, subplot with Leo and Mallory is in there for, like, 5 minutes, too. It's like they...
Yeah.
It's like they went to the drawer of old characters and plots and just pulled out a few things. Mm-hmm. She really... it didn't seem to really... I mean, they nice to see you, Allison Smith, but that whole scene was sort of... It was nice, but not necessary in any particular way. Mm-hmm. It could have been as part of something else. I don't know.
And they said on the podcast that Leo was lying to her to save face, that he already knew that his ex was getting remarried. I didn't get that either. I don't know how they decided
I thought that
she
was the case. But I just didn't. Maybe after she talked to her daughter. But I suppose it could be either way.
It totally could, but I just didn't... It just surprised me that they were, like, so positive that that's what had happened.
It didn't seem like a momentous enough thing for her to come back and there to be 2 scenes with. I mean, if it was something... have we thought about his wife, really, since they got divorced? No. Have we been wondering, what about Leo's ex-wife? I mean, he's with Jordan now, isn't he? And we're happy about this? I mean, I understand that it would still be maybe difficult for him to think of her moving on in that way, but not enough to have 2 scenes and a guest star.
It's almost like what we were talking about, how so much of last week and even the few before that were about, the toll your political life takes on your personal life. And they were like, oh, by the way, it happened to Leo also.
Yeah, so put that in the same episodes as the other one, I think.
Exactly.
I think having it here by itself, it loses a lot of that effect. And they don't really get into how, I mean, you have to remember back to the first season when he didn't come home for his anniversary dinner and it's like there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then. I don't think you can just call it back. Whereas Bartlett's just happened and his daughter almost died, it's like a little more demonstrative of it. So it was just part of this sort of catch-all sort of thing.
Right.
I was trying to remember what big announcement she was giving him, and then I realized it's not. It's just that.
It's not big.
Yeah. If it had been a part of she comes to go to the thing with him, and then everything falls apart, and she said, "Okay, Dad, I understand we're not going to the thing. Let me just come over here. I just got something I could talk to you about." But they bring her back for a whole other scene.
Yeah, well, it's like we've been seeing so often with. And they've been pointing this out on the podcast too, extra scenes.
Yes.
Things that could be resolved in the first scene are, dragged out into 2 and 3 more conversations.
That seems to be a theme of this season, and it's maybe a sign that everybody gets to write their own scripts now. They'd all get rewritten by Sorkin, not always necessarily a good thing. Perhaps that was one of the things that he did, was tightened that stuff up.
Yeah.
So, nothing. It seemed like kind of a blah episode to me. And considering all of the stuff that went into it, it should not have been blah. It should have been a smack out of the park. Right. So,
Well, there you go.
But I guess you were. I feel like
it.
There's
it wasn't like I was. Oh my god, this is the best episode I've ever seen.
There was yet another subplot we haven't yet name checked, right? There was CJ and Stephen Tobolowsky. There was the Bill of Rights, and there was Mallory and Leo. Was that it, or was there another one crammed in there? Have we accounted for everybody? I think we have. There was the whole Lincoln thing at the beginning that then went away.
Well, and the whole Saudi Arabia situation was worked in with the president.
That was
funeral
so
stuff.
Much going on. Mm-hmm. Stormy indeed. We interrupt this podcast to remind you to please consider the free Radio Public app for all your Parenting Roundabout listening needs. If you listen to our podcast on the app, we'll get paid a little for each listen and more if you listen a lot.
It's a great way to financially support our podcast without having to actually spend, money. Now on to our challenge round.
There was no storminess And at the beautiful farm where Making It takes place. We are watching this now for our challenge round every week until it's over. The show Making It on NBC with hosts Nick Offerman and Amy Poehler, otherwise known as The Reason We Watch This. Now, because Making It comes out on Tuesday nights, please remember that we are always going to be talking about last week's episode, not the one that aired the same day as this podcast drops. So we are now talking about the second episode of Making It, which aired a week before the date of this podcast. Just roll with it. You know what? It's a pretty farm. Stuff's getting made. We're just gonna talk about whatever we feel like. But I enjoyed watching all the crafts very much. They were very fun. The judges I do not care for. And Nick and Amy are adorable. And even when they push it too far and it's just dumb, they're still adorable. You know? And I am enjoying Amy's constant wardrobe of overalls. Is that the same pair of overalls she's going to wear every week? I think she changes during the course of the episode.
No, they're different colors.
They're different colors. Kudos to the costuming person in charge of overalls. That's a big job. And, she looks very cute in them over and over and over again. She's just decided, this is what we wear for the Makers show. We wear overalls, but not denim overalls, not like real person overalls, like fashion overalls. So.
Yes. And Nick wears like a flannel shirt and jeans.
Yes, so. As well he should.
Right. Yeah, this was fun. I mean, it's kind of neat to see what they come up with in terms of challenges.
Yes.
How, like, terrarium, okay.
Yeah. You know what? Etsy lady kind of ruined it for me, though, when she goes, oh, terrariums, they're very popular. If you search Etsy, you will find 60,000 hits for terrariums. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this how we're picking our topics? Go Google it. See if there's lots of hits. Okay, we'll do that. No. Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
I don't want to see your terrariums now. That's not right.
No, I didn't care for that either. But I did think that the forts were fun. Was a fun idea.
They were all tiny. That one woman got dinged for her butterfly pod being tiny, but they were all tiny.
Yeah, they were tiny.
They were adorable. But that circus tent would wind up in the corner of a room with stuffed animals in it. And be adorable. But you can get in it, but I don't know how much playing you can do.
Right.
I liked that.
But like the taco truck
was workable, I think.
That was fun.
I was...
Although I don't know that if I want my plate food to have faces on it. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, maybe that's to keep the kids from eating it. If it looked too much like beef and chicken, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, but you don't want to sell it either to your... pretend customers, do you?
This is a stealth way to make children vegetarian. Oh, you didn't know that pork was a pig? It's a piggy.
Now you do. Oh, yeah.
See, the lettuce doesn't have a face.
I was sad for the guy who got sent home because I think he is talented and I think he just made a bad decision to redo his project at the absolute 11th hour.
A little overconfidence maybe in feeling that you can do that. But I am sad that we got rid of the two oldest contestants in the first 2 weeks. I don't know if that's deliberate, but it's obvious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought that guy had some really clever...
He really did.
...things. But it's just when you have only 8... You start with only 8 people.
Yeah.
You know, you got to get rid of somebody every week.
Yeah.
Wow, there's no room for...
I was a little concerned when, in the Faster Craft, when they kind of name-checked his sad story from last week. And I think, oh my gosh, are they going to... And then later I realized, no, he's eliminated this week. They just wanted to get it in there one more time. When he's changed forts, I went, I think I see what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree. He seems like an interesting guy. He has interesting things. I was on the terrarium challenge, going back to the judges. Now, they docked Kim because his there was a dark vibe to his terrarium.
Right.
And I see what they mean by thinking, don't jump. But still, I thought that was kind of cool and unusual. Mm-hmm. Now, Jeff's was also cool and unusual, but it was the New York City skyline and black beans with a bunch of gold figures with hats scattered throughout. Maybe it's because I used to watch this TV show Fringe where there were aliens in hats all over New York City. But that's not a weird, dark vibe? That's not like bustling Manhattan. That's like an invasion of guys in coats with hats. I thought that was creepy. Neat looking, but creepy.
Yeah, it was cool how he put the paper in as the skyline.
Yeah, that was. But it's just the whole... Why were there 20 guys in overcoats and hats? I don't know. It had a very Fringe vibe. If any of your listeners watch Fringe, they will know, I think, what I'm talking about. Which is something I should make you watch an episode of. But the problem is that like Lost, that thing has so much story that it's difficult to just dip in. But definitely, maybe I could find a guy in hats thing so you could see what I'm talking about. But, so I didn't, and they made a big deal with one person with the terrariums that this just looks like a picture postcard. This says nothing about you. We're learning nothing about you. But then the San Francisco one that won, which I liked very much and was very cool, is the Golden Gate Bridge with fog. It's a San Francisco picture postcard. It says nothing about her. It has nothing about her story of...
Except the Volkswagen, or the Volvo, or whatever the car was.
Yeah. Now, okay, so you're going to do a beautiful... If you want people to be telling us something about themselves, then the guy with the abandoned highways, that's a really original take on your hometown.
That was a story.
But we don't like that, because that's kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like it just seems like they're all over the place. I don't think they know what they're talking about. And who knows what they originally said and it got cut down to. But I felt like... I mean, there was a couple that they didn't like that I didn't like either. Billy, the
felt guy with that was not good.
Yeah.
The one who eventually had the taco truck and
which was very cool.
So well.
Yes. So now we know that apparently, even though the challenge has nothing to do with your particular kind of craft, you better put your personal craft in there, or else. Stay in your lane, felt guy. You can make a wood taco truck, but you better have some felt tacos there. Lady making the circus tent, you better have some paper pom-poms.
Yeah, I did not like when the judge was like, oh, and pom-poms, they're very on trend. Like, that's not what this is about. Like, kids don't care what's on trend,
Also, if you're going out to a competition that's taking place on a farm and some of the work is going to be outside, Etsy lady, maybe not so much with the tight dress and high heels. Somebody get this woman overalls, stat.
Right, that's what she means.
They would be the most blinged out overalls you had ever seen, but still, they would be a little more practical. When she had to crawl into one of those forts, I'm going...
Right.
She's like going, do I have to? I want extra money for this.
Hazardous duty pay, please.
Do you know how much this dress cost? You want me to sit on a vinyl thing that kids might have pooped on? No.
Well, it's funny because they showed the teaser for next week that they're going to do like a snack stadium.
Yeah.
Did you see this? And I just watched recently an episode of Nailed It where they
really? Copying already.
Yes.
Yeah, Nick's going to enjoy the snack.
You can imagine how well it worked out
for
the
snacks
Nailed
going to be
It
actual
people.
food, or do they have to be in felt and paper and wood so these people use their particular skills?
Well, Amy was eating a
Rice Krispie
treat, so...
Yeah. Well, but Nick was eating clay, so you never know.
Well, that's true.
Before we leave this show, let me ask you something. Tangrams. You know what tangrams are, right?
Yes.
Anybody who has kids knows what tangrams are. Tangrams aren't like some exotic thing from the East that nobody has ever heard of.
Yeah, I don't know why they made such a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, Amy, you have small children. You sure as bleep know what tangrams are. Stop it.
That was weird. And I felt bad. They were like making fun of him. But then in the end, he showed them how it all worked and how it fit together and how he had "You Are Smart" on his fort. And then they're like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Like, see,
I agree with the winner for that. I thought the taco truck was really creative and really interesting and well done and fun and something I could see kids playing in of both genders. But that tangram thing, boys would love that. I mean, Nick was immediately hanging off of it. I mean, it might not be safe to have it for your kids, but there were rainbows and there were circuses and there were butterfly pods and there were clouds. And I'm thinking, like, almost all of those things were girl forts. And that was a guy fort. I thought that was pretty cool.
And the spaceship.
And the spaceship. Yes, that and the spaceship. And I don't think that was acknowledged that, there was, I guess, I don't know, not allowed to mention those sorts of things. But anybody can play in any sort of fort, but you're not going to get a boy in some of those things, I don't think.
Well, like the rainbow for sure, and the butterfly that was pink.
And it's like I guess the circus got dinged for not being original. Oh, it's a circus. But rainbow is like as generic as possible. There are 65 million hits for rainbow on Etsy, I am willing to bet. Yeah. And, Simon was looking at a pool noodle like he'd never seen one before in his life. Never mind the tangrams. Look at this item. So, I don't know, is moms at home are looking at this and thinking, I can do that, a good thing on a craft competition or a bad thing?
Well, that's when they have the nailed it version.
Yes,
people try.
It's true. But I think we want to see a little more game than that. But they were all fun. The forts were all fun. Yeah. And I think that for our next elimination, one of those blonde ladies has to go because I can't tell them apart.
Yeah, the butterfly versus the rainbow.
We keep getting to the second one, and I thought, didn't we just see her? Oh, no, she's a different one. Which
one has shorter hair?
And one has like the feathery things in her hair, right?
Yeah, the one who won the first week.
Is she the one who won the first week, Feathered Lady?
Feathered Lady, which is Rainbow.
Fort. Okay.
Yeah.
Rainbow Heart. So those are like, she's out there on the design edge.
Yeah.
I'm going to start stealthily rooting for Kim now because he's gotten dinged for being too dark and weird like 3 times. So.
And I thought his woodworking stuff in the first episode was amazing.
Yes.
And they really didn't.
Yes.
Like, Nick noticed it, but they didn't acknowledge how good that was.
And that spaceship took a fair amount of work. I mean, that compared to wrapping your pool noodles and putting them on dowels, that thing was... Yeah, I could see kids playing on that. That thing was solidly constructed. He didn't get time to make his toy, but he had a ladder that went up and down, and that was a ton of work.
Yeah, I agree.
And a cool idea and conception. All right. Well, we'll watch it again next week and come back and complain.
Yes.
Some more.
That's what we do.
So next week we'll be watching the episode of Making It that airs on the same date as this podcast because they are so inconsiderate as to come out on the day that our podcast comes out. They didn't make that. Very nice for us. And then we're also going to be watching the next episode up in our West Wing watch, which is the Benign Prerogative. And we will be watching the So You Think You Can Dance Top 8 writhe and perform and be humiliated on national television. Yay! All right. But for now, that's going to be it for our Round 2 today. Please subscribe to our Parenting Roundabout podcast so you won't miss any of our episodes, including our daily speed rounds and weekly group chats. As always, you can find recaps, links, and an opportunity to comment on our website at parentingroundabout.com. Goodbye, Catherine.
Bye, Terry.
Goodbye, everybody.